Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Dychronic, and today we'll take a look at the Destiny 2 Xur's location, his random rolls, and my recommendations for November 11th, 2022. You can find the Xur in his regular spot on Nessus. Just head over to the Watcher's Grave, and on top of this tree right here, you can see the Xur. And this is a high overview in case this is all you cared about. Wow, that's some old armor right there. Alright, so first up for the weapon today, we have the Telesto. If you haven't been paying attention, the Telesto has been taking over a bit. Obviously, it functions a little differently than it used to, having weird sparks, the shots going weird directions, and it's obviously part of some new DLC or seasonal release that they don't want to tell us yet. Or maybe they're just messing with us, I don't know. Either way, Telesto has been known as one of the most problem child weapons in the game. It went from giving you infinite supers, to killing bosses in few shots, to killing enemy supers in Crucible in basically one burst, and so much more. Telesto used to be, in many different ways, ridiculous and always breaks the game, so it may break the game again. And furthermore, it's also just a good weapon. It's basically just long-range explosive fusion rifle. And also these explosives count as proximity detections. You can just line the floor doorways with it, people walk over it, and they take damage, although not nearly as much as before. And in PvE, it just doesn't live up to the amount of DPS or total ammo damage you'd like, nothing compared to that of Merciless, for example. Up next for the Hunter exotic, we have the Knucklehead radar. And this one, all it does is provide a radar while you're aiming down sights and enhances your radar resolution while crouched, which makes it a smaller sliver. And to be honest with you, this is super basic. Came out with the base game, it was in Destiny 1, it's a very basic exotic. As far as a role goes, I guess you'd like anything. Mobility, resilience, recovery, but probably all good for hunters, probably good for PvP, but obviously missing recovery and mobility. Total stats of 62 is around the average, but I wouldn't recommend it. And for the Titan exotic, again, we have one that's just so darn ugly. Ugh. And it's also not very good. Solar damage kills recharge your barricade, which there are so many more ways to do that, which unleashes a blast of solar energy when summoned. And I believe this blast goes forward and back and can kill a full health guardian, but nobody's gonna sit down when you hit them with your barricade. As far as the role goes, I don't know, resilience, recovery, meh. And for the Warlock exotic, probably the best, one of the best exotics in the game, Starfire Protocol. If you are a Warlock and you don't have this exotic, get it. This is probably one of the best exotics you can have, and more so, it's one of the best solar exotics that you can have. Its main perk, fusion grenades have an additional charge, which overflow charging is nice, and recharge from empowered weapon damage. So when you're standing in Empowering Rift or in a well, and fusion grenades kills grant Rift energy. Gives you a full Rift back on a single kill. And on top of that, you can also have the double exploding fusion grenades, which do massively more damage. You hit somebody with Wither Horde or Anarchy for continuous tick damage, or just shoot them with your gun, and you have a fusion rifle basically every 4 hits from your weapon from in an Empowering Rift, which means basically infinite grenades. That again, do insane DPS. More DPS than that of the Lament, one of the highest DPS heavy weapons in the game. As far as the role goes, you have very high total stats of 67 and very high resilience, which resilience is very popular. Unfortunately, not as high recovery, but you could balance it with your build and the rest of it is okay. Honestly, I highly recommend it. I would say the one thing about Starfire I don't like is that there's no ornaments, and I'm not really a big fan of this. Following that, let's take a look at the legendary weapons. First up, a 180 hand cannon with subsistence and osmosis. I would say subsistence is not terrible on 180s, but 180s are pretty terrible and you definitely need a lot more range. Following that, we have the John 7, which is a firmly planted and dragonfly. Never been a big fan of dragonfly, but firmly planted is pretty good, and I believe that there are damage perks on this that are going to be a lot better. Following that, a grid skipper being one of the better weapons in the game. Heating up and thresh with some range stuff here, armor piercing, not a bad combination. And you do have a recoil direction, which really helps get that up to 85. So this one's okay, but it could be better. Following that, Sojourner's Tail, which is a tunnel vision opening shot, might be more of a Crucible role, although Crucible slugs aren't as popular as they used to be, and you can definitely have a lot more range stuff in here. Following that, a punching out, which is a surplus wellspring, which is a fun combo to have on this kind of weapon, especially the reload. You need to be reloading all the time, although again, I would like to see a lot more range on this. After that, we have the Shattered CIPHER, which is a heating up surrounded, and a 900 RPM LMG or HMG is just really not something I'm looking forward to, and you could probably have better perks. And finally, the Stars and Shadow, which is a field prep and thresh, well known in the Crucible for having a huge pool. This is not really what you're looking for. Following that, let's take a look at the legendary armors. Again, these legendary armors sometimes have shaders. This time it did not. First one, 60 with the high discipline is okay. 60 with the resilience, recovery, discipline, and strength, actually a pretty good distribution. 64 high total, high resilience, and high strength and discipline. a pretty good roll as well, and 64 with low resilience and having recovery and mobility. Might work with your build, but I do like resilience pretty hard. This one I would say is actually a pretty good roll, and considering how few items I have with resilience, I really do need these options. And for the exotic weapons, Hawkmoon today has snapshot sights. Pretty much my golden rule here is that you want rangefinder. You don't have to, but it's really nice. And then one of these two controlling recoil direction, getting you up to 100 instead of 96, which is not a huge difference, but it does feel good. So I'd say this is an okay roll, but you could do better. After that, we have the DMT, which I usually like with moving target or Vorpal, and again, one of these controlling recoil direction up to 99, which is exactly what it has. Moving target, recoil direction, and the rest is up to you. So a pretty good roll. I would recommend this one, although DMT isn't as good as it used to be. I say that a lot. It isn't as good as it used to be. Sounds like my memoirs. Anyways, the exotic engrams. Every exotic engram you ever receive will be a high stat roll and something that you've never seen before, as long as you can receive it from that engram. Wow, a 59, ugh. I guess we'll just infuse it into this one, though. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom, Dad, Monday, Steve Marketing, New Panther, Case Reagan, Mars Club, for their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.